Cranium, Mysterious Remain Death, Part 6. You're listening to Girls Love World, wishing you a wonderful listening experience. Chapter 26. Hi, Bua. Phinya's voice echoed on an afternoon of a random day. The two had just returned from the institute and were preparing for dinner in Buasaya's room, who was holding research documents to review the content before submitting them for confirmation and publication in an academic journal. This research was her first to be accepted after completing her studies. Upon hearing the call, Bua, who was already seated and starting to open a beer, looked up over her glasses and arched an eyebrow, asking, "What? Where do you find time to write your research? When you have some free time, you sleep. When you get back to your room, you're tossing and turning, then you're already asleep again." Phinya replied, determined to tease. "I write while I dream," Bua said teasingly back. "I have the raw file of the experiment results saved. It's been a while, but I haven't had time to write it down. How about I help you? If you want, you can send it to me by email," Bua made the proposal. "If you want, you can send it to me. But Dr. Bua is so helpful, right? You're anxious to publish it for the vice director of the institute, aren't you?" Phinya commented. "You'll be the third author, the professor will be the second. Then let me do it alone." Buasaya replied, bending down to read the content of the paper in her hands. "Seriously, when do you have time for this?" "The time when I'm not sleeping. While I'm listening to lectures or in progress meetings. Sometimes, there are meetings all afternoon and I take advantage of those moments. I'm going to report you to the professor for not paying attention in the meeting. I listen with my ears and type with my hands. They are different nervous systems, you can't separate them." Bua defended herself. "If I stay still, without moving my hand, I fall asleep. The air conditioning in the room is very cold." "And since when did you become AX9? "I learned from you." "So, you're going to sleep in your own room tonight?" "Bua." The voice with a sly tone that she had been using more often lately sounded immediately. "No. Don't force me." As soon as she finished speaking, she got up and went to sit next to her, resting her head on her shoulder. "If I don't sleep with you, I can't sleep." "You're exaggerating." Bua felt that her former colleague, who was now more than that to her, rested her forehead on her shoulder. "Is something wrong, Phinya?" However, Phinya only made a low sound of inquiry before Bua heard a deep sigh. I never thought that the two of us would get to this point." "Why are you being dramatic all of a sudden?" Bua asked, turning her gaze to look at the person's face. "Or do you mean you regret what happened between us?" "Yes." Phinya replied, before remaining silent for a moment, reflecting on the words she wanted to say. "I already told you that you can get out of this situation at any time. I feel bad that our beginning was like this." This made Buasaya put the paper she was holding aside. "And now? Do you feel bad?" The firm voice asked the question and received a shake of the head in response. "If you don't feel good now, don't think about what happened anymore." Bua spoke seriously. "Because if we had started differently, maybe we wouldn't be like now." The words made Phinya look into Bua's eyes. "Do you really think so?" "Listen to me, Phinya." Bua continued, smiling, making the other unable to resist returning the gesture. "My jealousy is not your fault. I just wanted to clear it up before we decide what to do next. So stop feeling guilty." Phinya looked at Bua for a moment before leaning over and kissing her on the cheek. Of course, Bua had never rejected this gesture, not even once. "You sleep with me every night. It's not just sleeping most of the time, so what are you still worried about?" "I'm sorry, Bua, for acting like that." "You weren't that bad," Bua replied. "Why am I comforting someone who almost got me dropped out?" "It's true," Bua said, letting out a laugh. "Why was I so clueless all this time?" The speaker's hand rose to touch Bua's face before leaning in for a kiss. "One more thing. Phinya said as she pulled away, then pressed her lips together again. Hurry up and ask for an assistant professor title. You're crazy. Bua exclaimed. How can you just hand over your work to someone else like that? She complained, though her words were softened by the smile on her friendly face that was just a breath away. If you want anything, just tell me and I'll give you whatever you want. Bua, who had entered Phinya's office in the morning to discuss the research documents, hesitated as she raised her hand to knock on the door. She heard the doctor's voice, who was behind the door, talking to someone in English, so she listened for a moment. Before she could understand the conversation, it ended, and Bua decided to knock on the door. The office owner gave permission to enter. Who were you talking to? Bua asked as she approached. She placed the folder of documents on the table before dropping into the chair. A friend. The answer was brief, while her eyes remained fixed on the computer screen. Is something wrong, Dr. Bua? Of course there is. If there wasn't, I wouldn't be here. Oh, I shouldn't have asked. Phinya replied sarcastically, dragging out her words as if Bua was mocking her. So, who were you talking to? Bua repeated the question. A friend. If I ask you again, you'll answer a friend again, right? Yes. Who were you talking to? Then she asked the same question again. Ah. Boaloy. The office owner exclaimed, clearly irritated. Is that how you're going to ask me? If you don't answer, I'll keep asking. Who were you talking to? Who? Who? Bua's questions flowed quickly, almost forming a melody. It was a woman, with a very beautiful British accent. So, who were you talking to? A friend, who's from England. The answer made Bua raise an eyebrow. I already knew that because I just said it with a British accent. Phinya let out a deep sigh, visibly worried. What were you talking about? Why do you want to know? At first I didn't want to know, but I ended up listening to the end of the conversation and didn't understand. That's why I asked. It's easier to ask straight away. Is curiosity coded in your DNA or something? No, it's just my personality. Bua replied indifferently. So, what were you guys talking about? I won't tell. If you don't answer, take this work. With that, Bua slid a thick stack of A4 paper, almost half a ream, towards her. Review the thesis outlines for 2 master's students from Professor Nasara. 2 theses, about 300 pages. I was talking to a friend in England about mummies. The answer Bua wanted to hear appeared in a blink of an eye, as Phinya slid the documents back to her. And is your friend pretty? So do you want to know about the mummy or about the friend? Both. The answer made Finya's eyes widen. Let's start with the mummy. Then you'll have to give me half the work, because I'm not going to answer whether the friend is pretty or not. Just tell me if she's pretty or not. Bua tried to negotiate. Give me the documents. Phinya said, reaching out to take the papers again. Okay, besides these papers, please attend 2 students' rehearsal for their thesis proposals. It will be on next Monday, at 9 o'clock, in the meeting room on the 2nd floor. And ask them a few questions. If I answer your previous question, will you come with me? I'm worried that during the presentation, the questions will be too difficult. If the students can't answer them, they'll lose confidence, you know? If you tell me whether she's pretty or not, you don't have to review anything and you don't have to go. So, what were you talking about with your friend? She's an expert on Egyptian civilization, the one I sent the contents of the scroll we found. Since I haven't heard from her for a long time, I followed up. Phinya finally answered. And what did she find? There was nothing but the Book of the Dead. As I said before, this probably belonged to someone wealthy, because the used paper was expensive, the writing is clear, structured, and detailed. Another edition was a hymn praising the Egyptian god of life, death, and the afterlife, Osiris. Ordinary people would not include this, because the cost of writing it was high. And what do you think of the roll paper we found? Considering the evidence and information we gathered, I would say that the two items are related to trade or auctions, Bua added. But then this incident happened first. So whoever took the mummy's skull to the event didn't know that it wasn't a mummy from ancient Egypt? It's possible, Phinya agreed. At first, we weren't sure about it yet, but the thing is, there's a chance this could turn into a homicide case due to the fracture in the lower jaw, which seems like the bone hasn't healed yet. Hearing this, Bua couldn't help but sigh. That's what I was afraid of. I figured it would be like that. She said worriedly. That's why I didn't want to wait for the police. But, for now, we haven't gotten much. We're trying to find information from people we think might know something. We've done everything we could, Finn. I really believe that. I want to do better than this. I don't like knowing what's going on and not being able to do anything, or having to wait for someone to tell me what's going on something. Don't you like waiting? Bua commented, her expression full of questions. Except for you. Phinya said quickly, afraid of being misunderstood. Bua's hand reached out to touch the back of Finya's hand, trying to encourage her, and they exchanged comforting glances for a moment. I have to go now. Bua said, picking up the documents that were on the work table. Leave it there, I'll review it for you. No need, Finya's voice replied. I've already reviewed it. Actually, I brought it to use as blackmail to get you to open your mouth. As she finished her sentence, she raised the documents that were in her arms. It seems to have worked. Then she left the room with a smile, before hearing the voice of the owner of the room shouting behind her. Waloy, be careful. I'll get my revenge. Chapter 27. A brown wooden box with a clear glass lid a little bigger than the palm of a hand was sitting on the desk in front of Dr. Phinya, who had been sighing for 10 minutes. What was inside could be worth more than a mansion. Her advisor had given it to her a few days ago. At first, Phinya thought that the professor would forbid her or refuse to give her such an expensive gift. However, she just gave her a smile that, no matter how many times she saw it, always conveyed a sense of comfort, as she opened the cabinet and handed it to her without hesitation. I'm glad you're worried about it. Take it, you can have it. I just hope you know how to use it well. The professor said that before sliding the box to her. Inside was the scarab that Bua had mentioned, though she didn't know that it had come from the coffin of an ancient pharaoh, was worth far more than the scarabs found in ordinary tombs, and was adorned with precious stones and had beautiful gold carvings on the top. When she said that the price was equivalent to that of a mansion, Phinya wasn't exaggerating. In fact, she felt herself getting more and more involved, knowing that this was no ordinary case. Someone was trying to make a mummy for some purpose that she knew was not good, and she also knew that Bua probably felt the same way. She soon received confirmation from a friend that her suspicions were correct. As an anthropologist, she was unsure whether or not it was right to pretend that she didn't know anything about this, since it wasn't her or Bua's responsibility. Phinya had been struggling with this dilemma for days. Should she do what she could? Something was very wrong, right in front of her. This case was disturbing and also shaking the anthropological community. What should she do? Even though the police were already aware of the case, she couldn't predict where or when it would end. Maybe it was time to make a decision. The ringing of the phone on her desk interrupted her thoughts, making her sigh deeply before answering it. Phinya. A familiar voice sounded on the other end of the line. Phinya was also unsure who was really the boss in this relationship, since Boss Bua seemed to have a special talent for convincing her to work, or rather, to throw the responsibility on her shoulders, and of course Phinya never refused. If Dr. Buasaya calls, tell her that Dr. Phinya went on vacation. Phinya said. That's as funny as a seashell fossil telling a joke, it's almost funny to you. The voice on the other end answered seriously. The professor is stuck in class. Can you come down to sign for the habilis? Have you arrived yet? No. She answered provocatively. I probably called you by accident, because the line went dead in your office to get your signature and receive the seashell fossil. If you miss me, just say so. No need to be funny or pretend not to understand. Phinya answered quickly, also sarcastically. And since you're the head of the lab, sign it yourself, since it's yours. Oh, whatever. If it's that hard to call you, stay there stuck in the office, boss. Bua, on the other end, answered brusquely before hanging up. Hey, you sleepyhead. I didn't understand anything you were saying. The vice principal quickly hung up before leaving the room. She went down to the area in front of the laboratory in a few minutes. During this time, Bua and the security guard were helping to push a wooden box large enough to contain a human body, about 2 meters long, to place it next to the large table. Sign it for me. The head of the laboratory shouted when she saw Phinya. For her, seeing the remains of a primitive human that was almost 1 million years old was something impressive. These fossils always carried hidden stories. The long journey of humanity's ancestors had always been fascinating to study, even though she knew well that today the human race could be lost. As Bua said, this long journey would probably not have an end. If an era of humans were to become extinct or disappear from this world, a new species would need to evolve, just as our ancestors or close relatives had already experienced. The world kept turning, just as time kept moving forward, and of course, neither did humanity. It was still going on. Phinya joined Bua, where Aeon and a few PhD students were waiting excitedly. The security guard, man, who was about 38 years old, was dressed in a light blue uniform and held a drill in his hand. Bua raised her hand and saluted the wooden box, muttering something that made Phinya frown. Then she smiled. Although the fossils inside the box could not hear, it seemed like a way of asking permission or, to make it more solemn, a way of respecting the professors by bringing the body for study. If there were no such remains or fossils to study, knowledge and science in various fields would remain stagnant. Open it, man. Bua said as she lowered her hand. At that moment, no one spoke, just waited anxiously to see what was inside. Soon, the 4 sides of the wooden box were opened, revealing a transparent acrylic box that contained a skeleton of over 1 million years old. Of course, it was not complete, but it was well protected inside the package, arranged in a way that simulated the resting position. Here are the verification documents, Phi Bua. Aeon said, handing Bua the papers to confirm that the amount of bones corresponded to what had been mentioned. The students began to move, approaching to observe with interest. In the life of an anthropologist, there are not many opportunities to see something real like this. This was definitely one of the first and most complete discoveries in the Southeast Asian region. Homo habilis was a species of primitive human, but its appearance was quite different from modern humans. This species still had morphological characteristics and stature similar to Australopithecus or chimpanzee, and was recently reclassified, being removed from the genus Homo and transferred to Australopithecus. Most still knew it as Homo habilis. In the name Homo habilis, the word habilis means skilled or agile in the use of hands. In addition to their ability to handle tools, they were also known for making stone tools. Wow! Bua exclaimed excitedly, her eyes shining through the lenses of her glasses. This is really amazing, Phinya commented. I've only seen fragments, some skulls, and finger bones. This is the first time I've seen something real. Most of the time, I only see models and pictures in books. Bua replied, as she bent down to check the list. There are 47 pieces. Where else would I find this? I'm almost fainting, I can barely breathe. Bua looked at the fossil, which was undoubtedly impressive for an anthropologist, especially for someone in the field of physical anthropology like her, who was finally seeing a real primitive human body, something she had studied for so long. Such specimens were not easy to find, most of them were kept in museums abroad. Bua wasn't sure how the professor had managed to negotiate for them to send an item of that size. Take a deep breath, don't faint yet, Phinya said, giving a loving smile. Take out the list and I'll check the pieces for you. Then, she took the documents from Bua's hand. I'm going to stay awake tonight. Are you crazy? Phinya's voice sounded louder than usual, shocking everyone present. Why can't I? Why not? Hey, you guys. Fang's voice intervened between the two friends. Are you going to start fighting again? Dr. Bua wants to sleep here tonight just because she's in nerd mode. Leave her alone, Fang commented. Let her freak out, Phinya. See? Fang agrees. Who said I agree? The future doctor turned around and said, I'm just a good friend, and I support you both. If you want to stay awake, stay awake. It's good that I take advantage and stay with you. I have to collect the samples from the lab at 2 in the morning. But the lab is on another floor, Fang, we won't be together. You can come up and stay with me up there. No, that's not enough. Phinya replied, looking at the transparent display case and writing it down on the checklist. Why do you have to collect samples tonight? It seems that the equipment's timer was set wrong, so it will generate the results at 2 in the morning. That's why I have to collect them at 1 in the morning. Will you be able to do that, Fang? This time it was Bua who asked, but she didn't wait for the answer before returning to her focus on the Homo habilis fossil. I can't let that crazy woman stay with you. You're the one who needs to stay with her because she's going to faint. That made Fang come closer. Are you jealous or something? Her friend whispered, trying not to be heard. Who? Phinya asked, answering in a brusque tone. You. Fang replied, with a satisfied smile. You're jealous of her, aren't you? What are you whispering about? Did something happen? Bua then approached, curious. It's none of your business. The vice principal replied, looking down at the documents in her hands. Fang? Bua turned to ask her friend. It's nothing. Fang replied with a smile on her lips, making Phinya roll her eyes. Bua watched closely. If you don't tell, you'll be alone in the lab. She said. I already knew. Her friend replied. Did you know? What do you know? I know you're not normal, Bua. Fang said and then turned to Phinya, touching her shoulder, who just remained silent. I'm rooting for you, Phinya. And left the lab room with a soft chuckle. What's gotten into her? Bua turned to Phinya, who was still there. She didn't get enough sleep, she looks like a zombie, just like you. Better not make me talk about who kept me up at night. That's exactly what I was going to ask. Has the professor talked to you about the press conference? Phinya immediately returned to serious mode the next second. He mentioned it, but they haven't set a date yet. The two were discussing the date of the press conference for the creation of the institute, which would be a way to publicize it for academics, students, and interested parties, and which would open for visitation in 2 months. I think it could be next month. So, I can start drafting the invitation for the academics. Let Aeon do it. Bua suggested. You need to prepare for the speech in front of the cameras. Just the invitation? I can do that myself. Why use Aeon? I can do that. Aeon offered upon hearing. The professor asked me to draft the invitation for the press. And the syllabus, how is it going, Aeon? Bua asked. Have you decided how you're going to do it? I'll stay with Phinya. Aeon replied. Great. Bua exclaimed, causing Phinya to look at her with a glare. Having Dr. Phinya's name as your advisor will be a great honor and pride for the dissertation. Just seeing her resume and experience is enough to impress anyone. Pretending not to understand. Phinya replied, noticing Bua's tone. According to the rules, you can't include the resume of consultants in the dissertation. Did you really graduate, Bua? Choose where you're going to do the field research. Bua suggested excitedly. Phinya can contact you in advance. I'd like to go to England. Aeon replied. Perfect. Phinya said. If I make a few calls today, you can go tomorrow. Besides the invitation, do I need to prepare anything else for the press conference day? Aeon asked. Don't worry. Phinya replied. I'll ask the head of the lab to take care of the rest. Great, the vice director just needs to pose pretty for the cameras, really. Bua immediately retorted, with a sarcastic tone. It's my job, you told me. Phinya replied. But I think Phinya looks pretty in front of the cameras. Aeon commented. Oh, don't compliment her, no. She's already stuck up enough. She complained. And there are already too many people sucking up to her. Bua's words made Phinya shrug. I can't do anything about it. Just think about what you want to say during the press conference, so I can prepare myself. Bua said, with an irritated tone. We'll show off the habilis, of course. To highlight the institute. She nodded, looking at the fossil that was on the table. If you have anything cool, just bring it. Okay, boss. Chapter 28. Dr. Finya's eyes swept across the main conference room, located on the top floor of the Institute of Bioanthropology building. The room was currently packed with professors, academics, students, and over 120 members of the press. It was the day of the press conference to officially inaugurate the Research Institute, with Professor Dr. Nisara as director, and Phinya serving as vice director. She was seated at the head of the conference table, while Buasaya, standing at the corner of the stage, took care of the organization and security of the event. Shortly after the press conference, the tour began, with participants being guided through the laboratories, distributed across the different floors. Some groups went down to the first and second floors, where there were exhibits on anthropology and the origin of early humans, as well as fossils, many of which were replicas of over 30 ancestral species from different eras. There were also skeletons of short-tailed macaques, including a chimpanzee that Bua had obtained with help from a zoo, as well as other mammal species, all explaining the evolutionary connections back to modern humans. This specimen is Homo habilis. Phinya heard the lab chief explain to a group of attentive visitors. We just received it. Is it real? A young man in a suit asked, his eyes widening when Bua nodded. I've been in this field for 11 years and this is the first time I've seen one. It was a generous donation from an institute in Nairobi. They were very kind. In 2 or 3 years, we'll have an exchange program for students to work in the field there. You accept PhD students too, right? We've just started accepting master's students. As for PhDs, we accept them in 2-year intervals, as we're adjusting the curriculum. If we want to send students to the labs, would the institute be available? Asked the young man again, who Bua assumed was a professor of the same age as her. My department has a great interest in bioanthropology. This area will be ready in 2 or 3 years. We are waiting for one of our researchers to finish his doctorate. We are not sure if he will do his postdoctoral studies abroad. But, if it is for physical anthropology, get in touch. I can take a look. And we have Dr. Phinya, a specialist in the historical era, who can also help. Bua replied. You have many specimens here, Professor. Commented a young woman in the group, praising Bua. We are trying to gather as many as possible. Bua replied, after being called a professor. Several institutes have helped us with this. Feel free to explore. Then she walked away and disappeared into the back, returning shortly after with 2 bottles of water and approached Phinya, who was holding some objects nearby. Dr. Phinya looks so elegant today. Buasaya joked gently, handing her one of the bottles of water. Phinya handed the wooden box she was holding to Bua before accepting the bottle of water and opening it to drink. Isn't that right? Phinya lifted her chin, with a slight smile, and adjusted her hair behind her ear with her fingertips. Just don't fall in love with Dr. Finn, okay? No way. Bua replied promptly, lowering her voice so that no one else would hear. Buekong. But he can't even compliment you a little without you getting all cocky, huh? Bua teased. Oh, screw you, you sleepyhead. Phinya replied, but in an almost whispered tone, casting a sidelong glance at the other. It seems like there are a lot of people interested. It must be good for the teacher. You sure are proud now. Phinya commented, as she took a soft sip of water. I told you, you are very good. Buasaya gave a big smile, which made Phinya get lost for a brief moment, observing her. If they were alone, Phinya would certainly have gone to hug Bua and squeezed her until she took her breath away. At this moment she had no doubt that she had really fallen in love with her old friend, the same friend who was her rival in the past. Why are you looking at me like that? Are you pale? I'm naturally pale. Are you wearing makeup? You don't wear makeup, Buekong. Today I did. After all, I can't look bad on camera. Don't worry, I don't look at your face too much. I didn't put on makeup so you could look at me. Buekong. What? Bua replied, still teasing. I'd better go. She pretended to leave in another direction. Then take this and keep it for me, please. I'm afraid I'll lose it and I won't be able to find another one like it. Phinya asked, referring to the box she had given to Bua. Phinya nodded towards the beetle in Bua's hands. I was going to show it off, but on second thought, it's better not to. What if someone hides it in their pocket and takes it away? That would be a problem. Let me take it to your office. Bua said, holding the box in her hands. Congratulations, Miss Bua. A deep man's voice caught the attention of both of them. Hello, Professor Songwhat. Phinya saw Bua greet the man, who was dressed in a white shirt and black pants, with a smile. How are you? I'm going, as you know. He responded to the greeting, returning the smile, which made Phinya narrow her eyes, watching the interaction between the two. I sent you a message, Bua, but you never replied. I was very busy at that time. Bua replied, trying to balance the answer. But I already told you that I rarely reply messages. Sometimes, if I'm teaching, I leave my phone on silent. If it's something urgent, it's better to call. This must be the guy Fong mentioned before, the one who was trying to win Bua over. Thinking about it, Phinya took the opportunity to examine him more closely. He was, in fact, a very handsome man, with a respectable posture, probably because he was a professor, which gave him an appearance of authority. His skin was fair, he was not much taller than Phinya, his eyes were small, and his hair was short and neat. His face almost always wore a smile. Phin, this is Professor Songwhat. Bua said, introducing him. Professor, this is Dr. Phinya, the vice principal. Nice to meet you. He replied to Finya's greeting, who returned the gesture with a bow. Nice to meet you, he said briefly, before turning his attention to Bua. What are you holding? Oh, it's a scarab beetle. Bua said, lifting the wooden box in her hands before showing it to him. I just received it. It's very beautiful. He commented with a smile. Is it original? Yes, it's authentic. Bua answered briefly. Would you happen to have time for lunch today, Bua? The question made Phinya, who had been silently listening to the conversation, turn her attention to him. And Bua, visibly nervous, glanced at Phinya quickly. Do you have something in mind? Bua asked. I would like to talk about sending senior students to intern here. Do you think we could discuss it during lunch? Bua scratched her head, somewhat embarrassed. I think the professor should talk to the teacher directly, because I really can't make that decision. She gave the excuse, clearly trying to escape. You can talk to Phinya too. She's the one who takes care of this matter. Hearing that, Phinya looked at her with an incredulous expression. Since when am I the one responsible for this? Finya's gaze conveyed that exact question. Phin, can you take care of this? Bua asked, pulling Finya's arm towards her. I need to see something over there, she said before quickly disappearing, as if she had evaporated into thin air. Her ability to escape from situations was truly impressive, Phinya thought. So this is the guy who tried to win you over? The question made Bua, who was sitting in her office drinking coffee, almost choke as she tried to swallow hurriedly. She had hidden there after having escaped the conversation with the professor moments before. Who? Professor Song what? Who said he tried to win me over? It was Fong who said that day that he was trying to win you over. Who would try to win me over? The owner of the room shook her head quickly in denial. No one. There's no point in raising your voice, Phinya said, realizing the lie. I'm just asking. Who would want something with someone who just sleeps all the time like me? Bua replied as she picked up a cold toast with butter and took a bite to satisfy her hunger. There was still more than an hour until lunch, not to mention that she planned to let the guests finish their meals. Eat before going downstairs, fearing that Professor Songwhat would come and disturb her again. If you pay attention, you'll realize that there are people who want something from you, Phinya said casually, while Bua took a white rabbit pillow with a zipper, which turned into a blanket, from her work chair and placed it on the table, laying her head on it. You're sleeping in front of your boss, Dr. Buasaya. Phinya teased her, pretending to scold her. And isn't it her fault that I didn't sleep? I'm just going to rest my eyes for a second. Phinya, in turn, pulled up a chair on the other side of the table and just watched her friend in silence, as she usually did. When she saw that Bua seemed to be motionless, she raised her hand and began to fondly play with her colleague's disheveled hair. Suddenly, Bua jumped up. What day is it? Phinya recoiled, almost falling off her chair in shock. Today is the presentation of the progress report. Oh my god, I'm screwed, Bua said, turning to the computer, adjusting her glasses with her fingertips hurriedly before starting to type on the keyboard. It's today, isn't it? Today? She asked to confirm. Yes, Phinya replied. Why didn't you remind me of this yesterday? You were sleeping. You do this every week and forget every week. I don't forget every week, I just forgot that today is Thursday. Haven't you ever been mad at yourself, Walloy? If I get angry, I sleep. Oh, sure. Oh my god, I'm screwed. I am screwed. Bua seemed to pay no attention to Phinya's provocations and focused on the computer, searching through the documents to find the weekly progress report that needed to be delivered and presented at the afternoon meeting, every Thursday, so that the professors could monitor the progress of the research. And you, have you finished yours yet? It's been a while, replied the other doctor. Do it for me? Again with this. As if I understand your research project? Why do you always try to use me? I'm the boss here, remember? You complain about everything. Bua muttered, still focused on the screen, while her fingers continued typing on the keyboard. If you're hungry, you can go have lunch, Finn. No, I'll wait, replied Phinya, taking the toast that Bua had left and taking a bite, before sitting down in silence to let her colleague work. Soon, she grabbed Bua's pillow and used it to take a nap. Thinking about it, it seemed like she was only there to take care of the girl she liked. Don't stare at me, I can't concentrate. Close your eyes, Bua said in a sullen voice. How was your conversation with Professor Songwhat? She asked, making conversation as she continued to type the report. Oh, it was nothing major, he just wants the fourth-year students to come and do an internship. Walloy. He's interested in you, not me. But I don't like him, okay? Bua replied, making Phinya smile. You don't have to smile, it irritates me. With those words, Phinya came closer, hugged Bua from behind and gave her a big kiss on the cheek. Finn! Bua exclaimed, surprised by the sudden attack. She quickly rubbed her face where she had been kissed, embarrassed, and turned to find Phinya's lips still very close, who had not pulled away. And who do you like? Finn, I have to work. I'm going to be late. Answer me first. I don't know. Bua shouted, pushing Finya's face away. If I don't finish this report on time, you'll be sleeping in your room tonight. She threatened. The threat made Phinya immediately release Bua and sit down, picking up her phone to look at it again. He's an expert on ethnic migration in this region. Phinya commented after reading the resume for a moment. He's not a good fit for you. You don't know anything about migration at all. What you know is about sleeping in the same place. Oh, if you hadn't told me, I would never have known. Bua replied, closing the computer screen. Let's eat. I'm hungry. I can't work anymore, I can't concentrate. And with that, the previous conversation was completely forgotten. Chapter 29. Miss Bua, are you interested in selling that scarab? Bua read the message over and over again that night, unsure of how to respond. Songwhat must not have known that the scarab was not hers. She read it again in surprise before starting to type a reply. Is anyone interested to buy it? The man replied within moments, so excited that Bua could almost feel it through the message. I can find a buyer for you. It's authentic and very beautiful. The price is very good. Where did you get it, Bua? From Phinya. Really? He replied. Someone once asked me about the scarab, but I could never find it. Oh yeah? Bua typed quickly on her phone. I don't know. I'm not really familiar with this kind of thing. She typed before hitting send. Is this really a good price for this item? How about we have dinner together, and I'll tell you. He offered through a message. I guarantee you'll be surprised. Bua could almost feel his confidence. Or if there's anything else you want to sell, let me know. That Habilis stuff is also interesting, if you have more. Bua began to feel a little strange about this man. She didn't know Songwhat had a side business like this. People these days must have a hard time surviving with just one job. Bua wasn't sure how to respond, but deep down, she wondered if the scarab was really as valuable as it claimed. However, if she agreed without telling Phinya, she was sure she would be furious. Her feelings for Phinya had gone far beyond just liking. Bua knew that very well. But there was always a suspicion that held her back. Every time Bua wanted to express her feelings to Phinya, there was a part of her heart that held doubts, and she felt it was unfair if Phinya loved and distrusted her at the same time. So, Bua is not concerned if Phinya wants to leave this unclear relationship. Even though she knows that when that day comes, she will still be heartbroken. She tried to believe that Phinya was no longer a troublesome woman. And Phinya had tried to show her that. However, it was Bua herself who couldn't erase the lingering feelings. Maybe because everything that happened between them changed so quickly, catching her off guard. Who would have thought that one night Bua would end up sharing a bed with someone who once made her so angry? Even though she knew deep down that Phinya wasn't a bad person, the more they went through, the more Phinya turned out to be the exact opposite of what Bua thought. Phinya was a good friend, whether as a classmate, a coworker, or even a bedmate. She was someone who always gave Bua advice and helped her whenever she needed it. She was someone Bua was willing to let into her room to hug her from behind. She was someone who made Bua very happy about her. At this point, if Phinya approached her with a knife in her hand, Bua would probably let her stab her into her heart. These are the reasons that made her hesitate to accept the dinner invitation from Songwhat, even though she didn't have any romantic feelings for him. Instead, she was worried about the feelings of the person who was now standing in front of her. Why are you frowning while looking at your phone? What happened? Phinya, who had just finished taking a shower, asked as she came out of the bedroom, noticing the furrowed brows on Bua's face. Finn. The person in question felt something unusual in Bua's tone, so she dropped onto the sofa beside her. What's wrong, Bua? Someone asked me out to dinner. Bua wasn't sure why, But she felt that accepting Songwhat's invitation without telling Phinya was something she shouldn't do, even if their relationship was nothing more than sharing a bed. "Is that Songwhat?" Phinya, the assistant, asked knowingly before Bua nodded in agreement. "I thought so. What do you think I should do?" Phinya just stared at her with an unreadable expression. "Finn, don't just stay silent." "What can I say?" Finya's tone was very curt before she stood up. "Answer whatever you want, but don't tell me about it." She then started to walk away, but Bua grabbed her arm and pulled her back to the sofa. "Are you still jealous?" Bua didn't get an answer because Phinya just sat there, her expression tense. "Look at me, Finn." When Phinya didn't answer, Bua put her hands on the sides of Finya's face and gently turned her towards her. "What kind of answer do you want? Jealous or not?" "Even if I wanted to be jealous, I don't have the right because you didn't give me that right." Phinya replied with a complaining tone in her voice. "I don't dare to demand anything because I know I've done a lot to you in the past. So, I won't say anything. I've never seen you sulk before," Bua said with a gentle smile. "You usually make a fuss." "I'm not sulking," Phinya argued. "If I wanted to do something behind your back, I would have done it already," Bua said. "You didn't have to do it behind my back. You did it right in front of me, didn't you?" replied Phinya, which made Bua laugh out loud. "I ask for your permission. And if I don't allow it, will you still go?" "I will go." "Actually, I was planning to ask you to come along," Bua replied. "Honestly, do you really think I'm the type of person who would do something like that? Then why bother asking?" "I don't care what type you are," Phinya replied casually, shrugging before gently tapping her fingertips on Bua's hand that was on her right cheek. "I like it like this." "Finn." "I'm serious," Phinya said firmly. "I know it may sound unreasonable or even weird that I feel this way about you. You can laugh at me all you want, Bua, but I'm going to wait here until you're ready to decide." "Who will laugh at you?" asked Bua, who had just been told she was liked. "I will try to stay in my own place and not disturb yours, wherever you put me." "You let me take advantage of you, Finn." "Why?" "I don't care," Phinya replied, indifferently. "How lucky am I to know you? Do you realize how adorable you are?" asked Bua smiling. "I told you before, that from now on, you wouldn't be disappointed," Phinya said, sitting up a little straighter. Although she tried to maintain a serious expression, she couldn't help but smile when Bua laughed. "I trust you, Phinya." Maybe this was a good sign that Bua was starting to trust her a little more. "So, what about the sociology guy?" Phinya asked, her tone much lighter now. "He asked me about the scarab." So I wanted to talk to him, in case he knew something useful." "Then why didn't you say so from the start?" "Well, if I told you, I wouldn't see you acting all cute and pouty like this, would I?" "You are so cunning, ma'am." "Just go then," said the English doctor firmly. "So you gave me permission, right?" Bua asked, confirming. "Yes, Bua," Phinya answered with a smile. She felt an indescribable happiness, feeling that Bua was starting to open up to her more. Of course, she knew she couldn't erase what she had done in the past, but she vowed not to make the same mistake again. "Don't be so possessive," the physical anthropologist said as she began typing a message. "No matter what happens, I can't let go of you. Maybe it's just mammalian territorial instinct. I can't help it." "Don't make it up," Buasaya replied. "Territorial behavior is for group leaders." "Do humans really have group leader behavior? Maybe it's hidden in our ancestral DNA. Who knows?" "You're good at finding excuses, huh? I don't think I'll ever be able to keep up with you," Buasaya said with a smile. "Sorry, Phinya, for taking advantage of you like this." "Don't worry, sleepyhead," Phinya replied. Take a shower so you can sleep. If you're sleepy, go to bed first, Bua suggested. I still have to revise the research document for the professor to review tomorrow before sending it to noon. So, you're really going to submit it for publication? Phinya asked, turning to Bua, who nodded. You're rushing things. It's only been 5 months since you graduated, and you already have a publication. When I have time, I have to do it. I'm afraid I'll forget, the anthropologist explained. To be honest, I don't really care anymore. If it gets published, great, if not, that's fine too. It's strange how that ambition from back then has completely disappeared in just 2 years. Same here, me too, Phinya said with a laugh. I don't want fame or confession again. I'm tired, the fire is out. Don't let the professor hear you say that, the lab head advised. The professor is trying hard to send you here and there to groom you to be her successor. Don't push all that on me, Dr. Bua. Phinya replied in a fake serious tone, clearly seeing the intent of the joke. The professor has always been close to you. Do you know why the professor likes to keep me close? Bua asked. Phinya shook her head in response. Because I'm a sleepyhead, Phinya. If the professor didn't force me, do you think I would have graduated in 5 years? I could have extended it to 8 years, but who wants their students to take 8 years to graduate? The professor would lose points in her evaluation of the graduate school. Phinya stared at her in disbelief. Oh, come on, Phinya said. A person like you will graduate in 5 years, no matter what. You can sleep soundly and still finish. Yes, that's right, Buasaya joked. Oh, well. Bua let out a deep sigh before lying down on Finya's lap. I'm so lucky to have you with me. Thank you, Phinya. She said, closing her eyes. The person sitting there subconsciously began to stroke Bua's hair. Where do you think this mummy skull thing will end up? Bua suddenly asked with her eyes still closed. I don't know, Phinya replied. I don't even know how it all started, so I can't guess how this will end. Every day I wait for the police to call and tell me they have found the name of the unknown man. Bua said in a voice full of anxiety. Every time I prepare the clay to mold his face, I just pray that someone can tell me what happened, why he ended up in this condition. Although sometimes, I don't even want to know the answer. We do what we can, Bua. The gentle voice of the person stroking her head said to convince her. I know. Replied the other. But I can't help but wonder how our species could be like this. Sometimes knowing too much about the origins of something can be stressful. They ended with a bitter laugh. I think so too, Bua agreed. Prehistoric man's life depended solely on basic needs. But as the population grew, with better physical structures and bigger brains, many things developed, but it seems that our minds experienced decline. It's a good thing I won't live past 100 because I don't want to see what happens to our species after this. You're so resigned to life, Phinya joked. Let's just be together for now. That made Bua put the paper she was reading on her lap before looking at the other person, who was staring at her. Unbelievable, Finn. At least I'm glad I have you, otherwise my life would be a lot more boring. Do you have time to be bored, as a busy professional? Her assistant teased. How about I take you out this weekend? But Bua just shook her head. Let me sleep in my room, she said. But if you want to go somewhere, go ahead. No. Phinya replied. I want to be with you, that's all. The simple statement made her listener smile. Have I ever told you that you're adorable, Finn? You already told me, but you can say it again. You're so cute, and you smell so good, Bua said as she moved over and hugged the person. I might copy your perfume. Really? Phinya chuckled. By the way, please help identify the remaining victims tomorrow, Dr. Finn. Bua said as she rubbed her face against Finya's shoulder. Naughty Bua, praise Haria for getting help. Please, my adorable friend. Okay. Phinya agreed quickly, hearing a pleading tone she rarely heard. I'm not giving in to you, I just feel sorry for you. Dr. Finn is always so kind, Bua teased. Dr. Finn promised to be a good girl for Bua, remember? That made Bua pull away and stare at her intently. You have kept your promise very well, Finn, she said, with her gaze full of warmth. Chapter 30. It's too bad Phinya couldn't join us, Bua said with a sigh. She must have been able to talk to you better than I can. Can you arrange a meeting with Dr. Finn for me? Songwhat asked. I'll ask her, but I don't think it will be a problem, Bua assured him. Good news. Professor Songwhat is interested in you. Huh? That statement made the other person, who was sipping a golden yellow alcoholic drink from a white can in Buasaya's room, look up after returning from a night of dinner with Songwhat. She's interested in you and asked me to set up a meeting for you. Bua repeated before sitting down and picking up another can of drink to open. Dr. Finn is always charming. Without even saying a word, someone already asked her out to dinner. She teased, flashing a bright smile. Shut up, Bua. Phinya scolded, frowning at her. What? Did I say something wrong? What did you say that made him ask me out? I didn't say anything. Every time you raise your voice, it means something is going on. That's right. Bua quickly defended herself, her tone now high but normal. I only mentioned that you brought a lot of stuff from Mezit. Oh. Bus. This is it. The British female doctor exclaimed. It's always like this. What? If you raise your voice one more time, I'll kiss you until it turns into a soft moan, she said, causing Bua to immediately raise her hand to cover her mouth. I just tweaked your profile a bit, a small voice said, her eyes still twinkling through her square-rimmed glasses. Like, she already picked a date because you looked good, I just made you sound better. He asked me out because he thought I had something to sell, Bua. And come to think of it, I don't really have anything to sell, which I don't. So what am I supposed to do? As a PhD like you, shouldn't you be able to find something? You're going to get me in trouble, Waloy. The assistant exclaimed. And did you get any other information? Nothing, just dinner. What? Then why did you go then? Shouted another. I let you have dinner with him for almost 2 hours, but you got nothing. In that case, I might as well ask you out. You're not interesting at all. How could you say that? Bua denied. Like you're very beautiful or something like that. Don't talk about that. Yeah, don't. Bua said before the other person could glare at her. So, are you going or not? Come with me. I'm curious to see how impressive the man who wooed you is. He might change his mind and come after you, Buasaya suggested. Take it easy, Bua. She muttered the last part to herself. Don't act sweet, Bua. What did I say? I haven't even said anything yet, another replied. Don't think you can get rid of me that easily, Phinya replied. Not at all. Buasaya shook her head. I've never tried to get rid of anyone, but I don't hold anyone back either. If being together brings comfort, I won't stop you from staying. The statement made the listener turn to look at her for a moment without saying anything. What? Why are you looking at me? Bua asked. You said if I wanted to stay, I could stay. Whether you stay or go, I won't stop you, the other said calmly. In a situation like this, I don't want to take advantage of you, but I have to say, I don't want anyone else to take your place either. That made Phinya smile widely before Bua leaned back on the couch and gently placed one hand on the side of the other's face. No matter what, I just want you to be happy, Finn. And how do you know I'm not happy? Phinya answered. If your presence here is about guilt for what you did to me, please stop thinking like that. Bua said. There may be feelings of guilt, Phinya said softly. But there are other reasons beyond that. Because you were staring at my back, or what? Bua asked, though her question held a hint of suspicion. She then laughed softly, indicating that she was just playing along. Your back should be protected for something other than getting beaten, Phinya replied. Thank you for everything. You almost made me forget about that, Phinya. Don't remember that guy. Phinya from England immediately advised. It's not a big deal. Bua interjected. Phinya made you who you are today. Bua. I'm serious, Bua said firmly. Although I wanted to slap Phinya in the face for involving me in a crime investigation, people may have times when they don't like someone in their lives. Did you know that I was jealous of you at that time, Bua? Jealous of what? Because the professor always calls you, Phinya explained. And before I left, the professor even handed over my research to you to continue. Probably not anymore, right? Now, my feelings are different. Is it true? Phinya just nodded in response. I'll tell you when you're ready. Agreed. When I'm ready to listen, I'll tell you too, Bua said. Part 6 End to be continued. Thank you for spending your time with us. New videos every day at 9 p.m. Don't forget to like and subscribe for the newest videos. See ya.